Good evening and welcome to Scottish Racing Podcast with me, Don Nicol. Been a few weeks since we've been here. All day actually, I'll get Rachel to confirm that with me in a minute, but very happy to be joined once again, partner in crime, Miss Rachel Ward. Rachel, how you doing, pal?
Yes, very well, thanks, Don. Looking forward to previewing Musselburgh tonight. It's a very competitive race. And yeah, you're right in saying it was the Moorborough Hurdle Day when we last done our podcast, which was...
It's been a couple of months, isn't it?
It would have been last month. So no, it was a good day, and we both gave a wee shout out to Kraken Rhapsody, the Moorborough Hurdle winner, so that was always good. Yeah, really enjoyed my day, and it was lovely to meet you in person. So yeah, no, a good day.
It was a great day. Took my friend, the kids along, had an absolute ball. And in the meantime, we seem to have had ourselves a bit of a makeover by the one and only Telf, or should we call him Telfsy, because I'm not sure how long it took him to do the new colourful artwork in the background, but I suppose we need to thank him. But I had a look at it again, and I'm pretty sure I look like a 1950s Kevin Blake, so I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. But yes, we're sporting some new artwork tonight. Thankfully from Chris Telford, so we'll need to thank him for that, but I'm not too sure how I can hide me and you so we can see it.
No, I think we'll just keep it hidden, because I look like... No, he's done a good job, Don, but I actually think I look better on the artwork than what I do tonight, so no, he's done a great job.
I know I look better on the artwork because he's took a good couple of stone off me, so
you look...
I think I'll just need to thank him for that later. I think he's due a few pints next time he comes up to Hamilton, so I'll need to thank him. Anyway, what we were going to do tonight is we were going to look at Musselburgh for tomorrow, and we were going to look at Kelso for Saturday. Now, I'm dubious enough of Kelso. If Musselburgh are going ahead tomorrow, I think we both agree Kelso is likely to have some troubles this weekend. You're closer to it than me.
Yeah, I mean, we've had horrendous rainfall over the past couple of days, starting from Monday onwards. The ground on Monday when the declarations came out was good to soft in places.
Yeah.
By yesterday, we had so much rainfall that it turned to go heavy, and it was waterlogged in places. We've obviously had a very dry day here today, and it's no longer waterlogged. But if we do get the heavy band of rain that's forecast through the night and all day tomorrow, I can't see it being on. I mean, Matthew Taylor, Clicker of the Course, he does a fantastic job at Kelso, but sometimes you can't really fault the weather. So hopefully it does go on, because the Go North Series final, which takes place over the weekend, Musselburgh tomorrow, Kelso Saturday, and Carlisle on Sunday. It's great for the northern trainers. Some of the trainers, they might not necessarily have runners at the big festivals like Aintree, Cheltenham, throughout the year. So this is a really good opportunity for the horses that aren't necessarily at the calibre of Willie Mullins, so to speak, that they have the opportunity to get a good win on their... But hopefully Musselburgh goes on tomorrow. Obviously that was cancelled last week, the meeting for the Queen's Cup, but it's just Musselburgh, the jumps track drains so much more better than the flat track there, so hopefully it does go ahead. The track looks in good condition from what I've seen recently on social media, and they have got a lot of big fields tomorrow, competitive racing, so hopefully for the trainers that are coming over from Ireland and down south, they manage to get the benefit of the racing being on.
I was very surprised last week, beach, and it drains. It's a very well draining racecourse, so I was surprised last week. The bit that concerns me is when I was looking at Bill Farnsworth online earlier on, he's putting the going stick in. It's definitely soft. I'd say it's very soft the way I'm looking at it. It's to rain all night tonight. Whether or not it's to be torrential, I don't know, but it does say it's to rain all night right through the morning at Musselburgh. So do you know what? We touch wood. We hope it goes ahead. We don't want to see two. We don't want to see any racecourse getting cancelled off, but we don't want to see two in a row. So there's definitely some troubles we've had with some of the other courses recently. The weather has been absolutely shocking. Let's hope they both go ahead, but let's just start with Musselburgh first. And you never know. If Kelso gets the go-ahead, we'll stick some selections up tomorrow night. What do you think about that?
Perfect. Yeah, I've already got some of mine picked, so hopefully it does go ahead because there's a few nice winners lined up on those for everyone.
Love to hear it, pal. We bit later tomorrow night as well, later start, so 4:30. So without further ado, we're just going to get wired straight in. So 4:30 tomorrow, 2 mile, 1.5 furlongs, the Blantyre Canter, sponsored by ClearTech Maiden Hurdle Class 4. We've got 11 runners just to get us started in here. Rachel, where do you want to go here?
I think the favourite is a worthy favourite, Don. I mean, Emmett Mullins, he doesn't come over to Britain just on for no reason. Full Metal Jack, I mean, he's a full brother to Embassy Gardens, and we know what Embassy Gardens is like. Emmett obviously sends him over here for his hurdling debut. He actually finished behind Mousy Brown back in May 2023 last year, and he came out and won at Fairyhouse at the weekend. Beating Olympic Man, and obviously Willie Mullins thinks a lot of Olympic Man in the same colours as Galloping Deschamps. The form's been franked on many occasions from that particular race that Mousy Brown won over the weekend when he won back in May. I mean, Full Metal Jack, he does wear a tongue strap, and that is quite significant with obviously the ground conditions at Musselburgh, so that may be a slight cause for concern. And he does wear a hood. But looking at the field, he does bring the most potential. Obviously, you've got Speed Davis in there, who's already a winner over the hurdles. But I'm all in on Full Metal Jacket, Don. I just think he's the most improving horse in the field. Like I say, Emmett Mullins is bringing him over. But one at a bigger price, 14-1, Don, is the John and Sean Quinn runner, Grace on Phoenix. Has got race fitness on his side. I mean, he ran 6 to 8 days ago, and Full Metal Jacket hasn't been seen since 310 days. Going back to Grace on Phoenix, though, he actually finished behind Dicer Enos on his latest start at Doncaster. Obviously, he was well beaten by 16.25 lengths. But the horse he was second on that occasion, Just Dust, came out and won on Tuesday at Pontefract on the flat. So again, that's another form has been franked on that occasion. He has got the limited experience over hurdles. I mean, he had his hurdling debut and he unseated at Sedgefield, but then he came back and was third at Doncaster. But he's one that's open to further improvement. Craig Nichol's on board. I always like to see Craig Nicol ride a John Quinn runner. He gets on really well with his sort of horses. And I quite like the credentials on him. But just based on the runners in that whole field, Don, I'm just going to go with Full Metal Jacket. Like I say, he's the most improving horse in the field. I mean, he's a full brother to Embassy Gardens. He's only going to get better once he goes chasing. Obviously, that'll be further down the line. But I just can't see past him. I think if you're doing a reverse forecast or a forecast, it would be the top two in the market.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that.
But yeah, I'm going with Full Metal Jacket. He just did stand out for me. But what you think?
He's certainly been all the rage since the market opened. Very long. He's now into 5-4. So the market's speaking the way that you are. I like the McCain horse. I like Speed Davis here. I think should have learnt a lot from that outing around Catterick in February. That form on paper looks better than a lot of these in here. And Brian Hughes and McCain have been in the winners. So 3-1, I'll probably have a little punt on him. But like I said as well, I'm fully expecting this to be very soft tomorrow. And when you watch that Catterick race back, the ground didn't really faze him. The jumping will sharpen up from that. And if the jumping does sharpen up, I would probably agree that Emmett Mullins' horse is the one to beat. Is there anything lurking in here? Potentially. And if there is anything lurking in here, am I really wanting to lump in on a 5-4 shot? Probably not. I've always had a stance on the favourite in the first at Musselburgh. It's a quick way to the man's poorhouse. So I'll be taking Full Metal Jacket on just purely based on the fact that I don't like the price. And I do think Speed Davis brings some decent credentials in here. So with 3-1, that's probably where I'm leaning.
Yeah. No, it's like you say, it's not the most competitive race on paper, but like you say, there could be something lurking there with further improvement.
Yep.
So we'll see what
this ground. when
We'll
this
see
ground comes up, though, if it comes up heavy tomorrow, keep an eye out for something that gets hoored in for 25 to 1. There could be something in here, but we'll see what comes. Sorry, Rich, what were you saying there?
No, I'm just saying we'll see what the result is at 4:35. See if the Scottish Racing Podcast Twitter page is putting up selection from Rachel Ward Racing or selection from Don Nicol. Who's going to be the one that gets that? I mean, the two horses that we've tipped up, they might not even be in the first three.
You never know. Depends what happens. Yeah, I think the market's got it right.
Yeah,
really
no, I would not.
So moving on, the 5:05, the Go North Lady Button's Mares Hurdle Series final. 2.5 miles, excuse me. We've got the max in here. We've got the full 14. I've got an old friend in here, but before I start waffling my pish, I'll let you have First Lady's honours here.
Well, thank you, Don. I mean, I just want to start off by saying what a mare Lady Buttons was. She was fantastic. Kirby, I mean, winning those Yorkshire hurdles at Wetherby and then winning the race at Doncaster. I mean, what a fantastic mare she was, and Adam Nicol got on so well with her. It was just fantastic to see, and she is living a well-deserved retirement. I think Adam Nichols, I think his partner rides her out, so she's having the best time. But the one in here, Don, now there's two in here I like, and don't be surprised that they're at the top of the market: Sunday Soldier and Parvos. I'll start with Parvos first. She was impressive at Sedgefield when she was last seen winning by 5 lengths under top weight. And the second has come out and won since, Frank in the Form. I feel like that's going to be my topic tonight, is Frank in the Form. Well, no, she has run over longer trips and didn't seem to see out the trip. But the steward's note has said on, I think it was her second last run, that her wind needed done. And there hasn't been any notification that she has had a wind operation, but Musselburgh is quite sharp in nature, so hopefully stamina, it shouldn't be too testing for her.
Yep.
So, I mean, she's one that I do like. I am quite surprised that Ryan Mania isn't on board, Danny McMenamin is, but I'm not going to look too much into that. I mean, Danny rides for Sandy quite a bit. More recently, so she's one of them, and obviously the favourite Sunday Soldier. Now she's up £36 since her first win, which was over this course in December, and she hasn't stopped improving, racking up 4 wins on the bounce. The ground doesn't seem to be a concern. I mean, she's won on heavy, albeit that was over 2 miles. She does step up and trip, but there are no stamina worries in her pedigree. She did actually finish in front of Spit Spot, who she beat last time out. Spit Spot is better off at the weights, but I just think when you have a horse that's coming into the race in such good form as she is, it'll be quite hard to underestimate her. But like I say, you could look through this race and come out with like 10 different results. It's so open. Fantastic. We've got a max field for mares. I mean, there's been a lot of talk in recent weeks about like the mares races, like are they really needed and stuff, and I just think without mares, we wouldn't have racehorses. I mean, mares like foals and like they're used for breeding, and I just think that it's fantastic for a race like this to have a full max field, and it's so competitive, and I just love seeing mares battle it out. And every one of them deserves to have a spot in this race and a place. But I think my selection would have to be the favourite, Dawn Sunday Soldier. I mean, like, she's done nothing wrong so far. She's coming into this in such good form, and there's no ground issues. I mean, she's won on heavy, like I've already mentioned. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the favourite in this race. I think she's the worthy favourite based on the form.
I think for me I think this is an open race. Right? I will start by saying that. Right, I should be looking for something in here. Parvos, Ip Up's a horse I quite like. It's just about getting Ip Up, right? Even Donzo Start, maybe even similar story, right? I have been riding the Sunday Soldier gravy train all winter. And last time out at Donny, which I think was the same day as the More Battle Hurdle Day, actually. I think I'd got in the car and had won, or I was getting to the car and I'd won. I thought 2-1 was an absolute gift that day. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I think he went as short as 15-8, and even then I went in again. And I think this horse has been up about £36 since its handicap mark. there's a lot of indicators for me that's telling me I should not be betting this horse tomorrow. The volume has went up in the mark. The 14 max field. The fact that it's a mare, the fact that it's all mares in a competitive race, the 72, to me, I should be moving. But I'm not going to. I like this horse. If I abandoned it now and it won, I'd be kicking myself. I would rather just take the 72. I'll be looking for maybe a bit of 4-1. Maybe a wee bit cheeky. I'll be looking for something else tomorrow. And if something else comes in here and takes it away, I know Spit Spot was behind last time, but I don't see that shifting the way it's changing that result at all. I think Pups, and you've mentioned Parvos. I'm slightly concerned. I've put a horse up, either the next that's carrying 12 stone, so I should probably shut up. I'm going to keep it easy. I'm going to stick to the horse that's made me a few bob in the win, and that's Sunday Soldier.
Yeah.
So that's us. Got the same one. We're on the same boat here. Absolutely. You know what happens? Most of the time that happens, they end up winning.
Well,
that's what I was saying, eh? Anyway, 5:40. Moving on to the Go North Grey Bomber Juvenile Hurdle Series final. I can't speak tonight. 2 mile, 1 furlong and a half. We have got 9 runners in here. I think this is a tricky little race, this one, Rachel. What about you?
I think it's relatively straightforward on. I mean, I can see why the favourite's a favourite, and I've gave it a wee mention, and I will give it a wee mention. But for the life of me, I cannot understand why Ruler of the River is 18-1. I just can't understand that. I mean, like, she's a nice type. She's got plenty of experience under her belt. She put that to good use when winning at Kelso on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
You could say that it wasn't the deepest of races. I mean, the horse that was second was Harry Derham's, and that was an odds-on shot. But she put the race to bed in a good manner. She then stepped up in trip at Southall, which might have pushed her stamina just a wee bit far. She was quite keen throughout the race, and she took a keen hold.
She was.
But if she can return to the form she showed when winning at Kelso, 18-1 is unbelievable. I mean, like, I've done a few bits, obviously, and I've talked about this before with Ursa Major, and there was a wee bit of doubt before the race whether she would take to the ground, because, I mean, it was soft that weekend at Mother's Day. And she just ran through it. So, I mean, the ground tomorrow won't concern me. I mean, she's quite a wee butty type of a model. She's quite athletic looking, and I think the sharp track at Musselburgh will be right up her street. I mean, Musselburgh's the hurdles track at Musselburgh is quite similar to Kelso. It's like tight bends. It's not like the chase track at Kelso where you go out into the country sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think Ruler of the River at that price at 18-1. I mean, she opened up at 16 and she's drifted out, and then she's came back in. Lewis Stone takes off a handy £3. She's bottom of the weights. She could run a really good race, and this race was actually targeted for her after Kelso, but they thought with her having the penalty for Southall, they thought they'd run her, and obviously she was just too keen. She bombed out. She didn't stay the weekend, but returning back here where this was her target for this time of year, I think 18-1 will have a bit of that. Golden Maverick, for me, he's quite still unexposed. It took him 3 attempts to win on his hurdling debut when winning easy at Haydock. He might still be improving. The manner in which he won that race suggested that he may have much more to offer, so I can see why he's favourite after that good looking win at Haydock. But like Latin Verse and Balboa, like, they're much more experienced than the favourite. So if I was looking for something maybe to take the favourite on, it would be Balboa. I mean, he ran in the Boodles at Cheltenham, didn't he? And I just think that was just too much for him. So I think returning back to a similar sort of class as what he has been running in. I mean, he was here behind Liari at the Cheltenham Trials weekend. And then obviously he just didn't perform at Cheltenham for some reason. Coming back into calmer waters, he could bounce back. So I would take Balboa on with the favourite Golden Maverick, but I'm all over Ruler of the River in this Dawn at that price, 18-1. I
Love
just
it.
think it's barbaric. Like,
Absolutely love it.
I mean, she was well behind. Is it the Gordon Elliott Woodlow that we never seen at Cheltenham? That was pulled out before Cheltenham. And like, even though she finished 9th, like the finishing margin, it didn't, and she stayed on. And then she came out and won at Kelso. And I didn't actually tip her up that day at Kelso, and I got a message from Ursa Major saying, "Why didn't you tip her up? Why didn't you tip her up?" So hopefully, if I tip her up, I hope she like doesn't no win. I hope she wins for them, because I do think she's a nice filly going forward. And 18-1, yeah, I'll have a bit of that.
I saw the message that day actually. When they'd said, "How come you never backed her?"
I know. Typical me.
I don't know. I can't remember the horse that I had that day. I think I went for either Glorious Lion or it was a favourite. It was a shorty, but I had a wee tentative bet on, and she went and won it 7s or 8s or something like that, didn't she?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that actually. But I think for me is I had 4 in here. Ruler of the River was one of them. Aquarite was one. Rory the Cat was the other. And Golden Maverick was one. Now I looked at Balboa and Latin Verse, because you're right, they both pulled up in the Fred Winter. Well, sorry, the Boodles, whatever it's called now. Still the Fred Winter to me, right? I think they both pulled up in the Fred Winter. I don't like clinging to Cheltenham Forum this close to it and thinking, I'll be fine. They'll be all right round Musselburgh. We've seen horses go to Cheltenham before and can bang bomb out at Musselburgh. So I'm not that. I wouldn't be going in at 11-2, 5-1. I thought Golden Maverick was shot in a race where the ground might get attritional. I think Golden Maverick looks the best treated. Don't get me wrong, right? Would I be firing in at 13-8? No, I wouldn't be. I think there's a couple in here that I'm looking at, but am I going to have a bet? Highly unlikely. I would jump on your bandwagon. I'll support your bet here. That's where I'm at, right? Ruler of the River at 18s, and I'll probably have a little wee side bet on Rory the Cat as well. But apart from that, yeah, fill your boots in here if you're a wee pound each way and something bigger, on you go, have a bash. Even Ragacina for Brookhouse, I don't think is out of chance here. So I think this is tricky, and I would not be encouraging anyone to be diving in at 13-8, even though it might be the most well-treated horse. We just need to take that on a risk-reward ratio, especially with what the weather's going to be like over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a tricky days betting-wise, that's for sure, but yeah, I do think that the favourite is too short based on what he's shown recently. You never really can tell if they're going to win after winning as closely as he did. But I just think Ruler of the River, like I've already mentioned, I think the trip at Southwell was too far for her. Coming back here, £3 off her back. This has been the target all along for her. I think she's well within her shot to run well in this race.
Spot on. Thank you very much, Rachel. Love that. That's the sort of stuff we like to see. Right, moving on. The 6:10, go north. Brindisi Hurdle Series final. 3 miles. And we've got 11 in here, another decent sized race. Now, I just had a little pop at a horse riding off top weight in these sort of conditions, and I'm away to go lob one up in a minute and Curly Finger. But before I waffle my lame excuse as to why the Rebecca Menzies horse goes and wins this, I'll start with you, Rachel. Where do you want to start here, pal?
Well, I'm going to start here, Don, with Curly Finger. That's the unanimous tipped up. Hopefully our analysis will be the same. But I just think he won this race a year ago. He's arrived in much better form. Hoping to get a 4-timer. He's up a further £5, and that demands further, but he's thriving. He's a course and distance winner here this season. I didn't ever expect him to win that was it the Pertemps qualifier at the Scottish Cheltenham Trials weekend. I never expected, and I never even seen that coming. I just didn't think that would happen. He beat good horses that day. I mean, Springwell Bay is a good yardstick. Hector Javelix, I mean, when he was running in the Pertemps, I thought, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. Like, where's this horse came from? He was travelling amazing. Anna Benina, she's a Scottish champion hurdle winner. There's a lot of depth in that race.
Yeah.
I mean, Silent Revolution, he's a good horse for Nichols. He's not been that good this year, but that race was just full of depth. And like I say, I never expected him to win. Obviously, he won that race off 10 stone 2. He's now 12 stone in this race, but he deserves to be top weight.
Yep.
So Curly Finger for me, I think 3-1. That's a decent price for a favourite for a horse that's arriving here in good nick. The other one that I've done, Don, would be Call Me Harry.
Yep.
I know that he's not really arriving here in the best of form. I mean, he won here. I think that was his first shot at 3 miles and he relished it. That was when Patrick Ward rode him on that occasion. He done really well, and then he unseated, and then he was second, and then he was fourth. His last 2 runs were when he was carrying 12 stone, but he's now carrying 11 stone in this race, obviously with Curly Finger being the top weight. He does need to slicken up his jumping, as his jumping can be a wee bit sketchy sometimes. But he's still relatively unexposed at this distance. I don't think there's any ground concerns for me personally looking at him.
No.
I mean, like when you look back through his form, he ran in the same race as Facile Vega at Cheltenham in the bumper. And I mean, that bumper that year was like red hot. I mean, I know Facile Vega hasn't really performed to credit this season over fences, but I still take that as good form running in a race where he, even though he's pulled up, it's still good form. So he's ran on heavy then, obviously pulled up like I've said. And then the last time he ran on heavy was when he unseated at Aintree. And that video was all over social media that day, the video of Danny McMenamin going out the side door looking like he was sitting on the hurdle. So I mean, like, and he was travelling into that race really, really sweetly before he unshipped Danny. So I just think Call Me Harry at the price that he is at 8-1. I'll take a wee each way on that. I mean, with them being 11 runners, you're getting guaranteed 3 places. And he's run well with credit around here before. He has won. But before I end up talking about another horse, I'll let you explain your reasonings for Curly Finger. See if we're on the same path.
We tick exactly all the same boxes, right? Every one of them. But the only thing I'm going to add is he's been beating much better animals than this the last twice. And beyond that, I think he is not only the most likely winner, I think that price is going to shorten up tomorrow. The one I'm concerned about is Gemmin or GMNM, whatever it is. Sorry, GMNM, is it? The Lucinda horse. I think GMNM will love this race. I think GMNM, this is the sort of ground that this horse will absolutely just tear right through. And they're not far apart in the market, right? They really aren't. You're looking at what, 3-1 and 5-1. So they're not that far apart. So as much as I'm concerned about GMNM, I'd need GMNM to be about 10-1 before I start betting on both of them. The fact that they're that close, I am going to take Curly Finger. And I think if that horse can carry that weight and that without any issue, I don't think the opposition are going to throw up enough. For all the exact same reasons that you've just said there. So, and I was the same. The Pertemps race, that was a race we lost absolute notions, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. A horse at the time I think was going in favourite or joint favourite for the Pertemps at the festival. Was never going to win, didn't look right, and then unfortunately what happened. So it is what it is. I didn't see Curly Finger winning that. And then I didn't see Curly Finger coming out and winning the Doncaster race after either.
No, I mean, I think he's a horse that, like, he needs to be aggressively ridden from the front.
I think so.
I just love the way that Nathan rides him. Like, he'll get him at the front, he'll slow it down, and then he'll go again. Yeah. And I think what he thrives off, he likes to get into a battle. I mean, you seen him that day at Musselburgh when he won, and he was not lying down. Because when I first joined the USO podcast team for the online content producers, Chris had asked me, he said, can you do like a video preview for one of the meetings this weekend? And I went, yeah, I'll do a race at Newcastle. And I had tipped up a Nick Alexander horse, and Curly Finger out and won. And his form before that was like,
yeah, it was stinking.
You just wouldn't expect it. And ever since that win at Newcastle, he's just thrived and thrived. So,
was that Arctic Man?
Sorry?
Arctic Man, the Alexander horse.
Aye, yeah.
I think he's came out and won since then.
Possibly.
Might be wrong. I might. Hold on. I made that up. But I think Arctic Man has came out and won since then anyway. But I remember, and the reason I remember is because I agreed with you.
No, he's been fourth in 2 seconds.
Ah, right, okay. I thought he'd won one of the races. I'm going to claim he was pipped down, right? That's what I'm going to cling to. But yeah,
we'll go with that.
He was third that day. He placed that day at Newcastle, didn't
he? Yeah, he was third.
Right, okay. So, no, I remember that, and I had the same horse because I think they ran well at Ayr, one of the meetings before that. But, I mean, the handicapper might have him. We might be looking a wee bit silly tomorrow when something at a tastier price comes in here, but I still think he's progressing. He's won in course and distance in a tough race. He won at Doncaster in a tough race. And I am, pardon the pun, putting my blinkers on to the 12 stone and just assuming that the horse is still in good fettle and it's going to go and do it again. Been given a little freshen up of 30 odd days. So yeah, I'm a you, Rich.
Yeah, no, I think he wouldn't be the surprise winner, let's just put it that way. If he wins, like, he thoroughly deserves it, because, I mean, he's taken Rebecca on some brilliant days, and I really like him.
Moving on to the 640. Go North Sea Pigeon Hurdle Series final. 2 mile, 1.5 furlongs. Again, we've got 13 in here of the max 15, so that's good. Looking at a decent wee size field here. This is wide open here, Rachel. We've got a couple of younger 6-year-olds. We've got a few of the older in here. We've even got a Alexander 5-year-old. I think this is a tricky race, but I have went and put in a line through about 4 or 5 of them. But before I come to that, I'll let you start first. Where do you want to start here, Rich?
I'm going for the Ursa Major Double Dawn with Ruler in the River in previous races, and I'm going with Final Edgar in this race. Final Edgar, I mean, like, he has improved so much since that win at Sedgefield, and he's backed it up since with 2 solid efforts since then. His mark remains unchanged. I think he's a really likeable horse. No ground issues if it does turn into a right slog tomorrow. I mean, the day he won at Sedgefield, I mean, it was soft, but it looked softer. The ground will be no problem to him. The only concern I would have would be the fact that he only ran at Carlisle last week, 6 days ago. I'm a wee bit, but I mean, he's came out of the race perfect. I mean, I know Craig wouldn't run one of his horses, and Mark Wofford wouldn't run one of his horses if they weren't bouncing at home after that run. So I think he is one of my selections that I've put up that I do really like. I do like Final Edgar. 8-1 William Maggs will retain the ride from when he has rode on the past 2 occasions. He takes off a handy £7. That's always useful. And I'm going probably for another Rebecca Menzies horse, maybe another wee double there with Russian Virtue Done. I mean, he's thrived for this yard. He's been ultra consistent and has race fitness on his side. With a trip to Newcastle when he was 4th under Holly Doyle. He was only beaten 2 lengths on that occasion. And that's really, that race looked competitive. Tripping conditions are fine, so he should be bang there. And he remains on the same mark that was when he won at Carlisle in December.
Yeah.
He that day off 114, and his mark is 114, so no mark change there. Like I say, he's fit from being on the flat. 9-1. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll take that. The only thing is, I mean, when you look at his recent races, he's like third, 1, 1. So either tomorrow it's going to be a 1 beside his name, or it'll be a 3rd, going by what the form's saying. But I'll take that in a race that's wide open. If he can place, that would be brilliant. But I just think, like you say, it's a really competitive race. There's a lot in here that you could give chances to, but I just think Final Edgar, based on the form that he's shown, the improvement he's shown, he's got the £7 off. Mark wouldn't run his horses if he didn't feel like they came out of that race before well. and he's still young, he's still improving. And Russian Virtue, based on the fact that his mark's the same, no ground issues, he's fit from the flat, only running 13 days ago. Yeah, I like Russian Virtue. I think he can defy top weight in this.
Now I've taken the other top weight, but I'll come to that in a minute. Here's my thing with Final Edgar. I don't think Final Edgar has anywhere near topped out on that mark, right? I think Final Edgar is worth another couple of pounds, and next year it'll probably worth an even few more. I think Final Edgar's a cracking horse. My concern is the fact that at the end of January, now we're not talking 3 miles, we're not talking 4 miles. I get that, right? But the horse ran in soft at the end of January and then ran in soft again 2 weeks later and won. Since then, he's ran twice soft ground, Sedgefield and Carlisle, and one of which was only last week, right? I just think this comes too soon. If you're on the double and your 16-1 rolls in, I am going to tell everybody that I'm wrong, and I hope it comes in, right? I really do. But I believe that this horse is a better horse than that mark. Whether that horse is going to be a better horse than that mark tomorrow in that testing ground, I'm not too sure. So I was a wee bit reticent. Cuban Cigar, I noticed a few places online was getting some decent write-ups earlier on. Cuban Cigar is very hit and miss for me. I think was it Scottish County Hurdle? He ran a crack at it and has won since then, I believe. No, sorry. Went to Doncaster and placed in that race. Oh, why was there a reason why I remember that race? Doesn't matter. Come back to me later on. But
same days at Hurdle Day.
That's what it was. I remember watching it. I remember trying to stick the wee man in the corner while I watched the race in the bar. That was very good fathering skills, that was. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So I thought at the price, I thought Cuban Cigar was a risk. Scott's Poet's been given a rest after winning on New Year's Day. Won really well. But he's never followed up a win in his career before. So I've done this with Scott's Poet before, so I'm going to be looking elsewhere. Russian Virtue should go well. I just think Russian Virtue, the opposite for Final Edgar, is a couple of pounds above the ideal mark. So as much as this is a close race, I'm looking for something that hits as many buttons as I can possibly hit. And for me, it was Mickey Hammond and Brian Hughes on Coup de Coeur. That's what I'm leaning. He's went up £7 for that Sedgefield race. That form looks decent in here. And with the question marks I've got with some of the rest of them, I think I'm just a little bit more confident at taking a wee each way poke at 61 on the Hammond horse, who I still think's got some progression to go off that mark, is whether or not the 12 stone allows it. Yeah, you're taking a last time out winner carrying the £7 on 12 stone on this ground in a competitive race. So it won't be a big bet. It'll be a 1.5 point for me. But yeah, a few question marks in here. And that's where I landed was Coup de Coeur. However, I hope your Final Edgar double comes in. I'd like to see the first one come in first.
Hopefully. Praying done.
So
I need the money.
Need the money to pay for all the train fares back and forth to the races, eh?
Oh, no.
Right, we move on to 7:10. The Racing TV Handicap Hurdle, 2.5 miles here, 10 runners. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Rich. I've not looked at this race much. I've had a bit of a mad day with my mad children. So as you give me your wonderful insight, as you always do, I'm going to just read through this and have a nosy and take one off the cuff, which is not like me at all. I'm usually massively prepared. As you know, it's been a bit of a testing week for me, so I'm going to let you bash on, my dear.
Right, well, hopefully it all goes well and the horse that I've tipped up comes out with wins tomorrow. So in this race, Dawn, I have chose 2 horses who I quite like. The first one, forgive the pronunciation, is Holo du Vivian. Now, he's a point winner who has been placed in all 3 starts over hurdles. Now, looking at the race, you've got horses in here that are like seasoned handicappers.
Yeah.
But this Donald McCain horse, he is open to so much improvement. I mean, I do think 7-4 is quite short on a horse that hasn't won a race yet.
Yeah.
But I do like his credentials, and I think there is so much more improvement to come. And his opening mark looks pretty workable. I mean, there's other horses in here that I just think are just sort of maybe past their date a wee bit. They're just, yeah. So the Donald McCain horse, Donna, I do particularly quite like. I mean, he is only 6. He actually won a point, and he's been placed. Well, he's been placed. What is it? 3 times over hurdles. Looking at his form, possibly.
Yeah.
Longer trip should suit. I mean, when you look at his point win, that was over 3 miles. This is 2.5. So there's no worries in regards to the trip. So I do like him. The other one that I like is the one just below him, which is This Is Bob. Now he's been placed around Newcastle and Hexham in the recent months over 2 miles. He has ran over this sort of distance before, but he hasn't necessarily travelled well into the race for him to be able to win it.
Yeah.
But look at what has been reached out for. I mean, he is running tomorrow with cheek pieces on for the first time, stepping up in trip slightly. I mean, this is 2.5 miles, and like I say, he has run over this sort of distance before. But I just think that reach for headgear, I think based on his run at Hexham during Cheltenham week, they must have just thought, look, this horse needs a wee bit more encouragement. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. He is carrying 10 stone 5. That's not a lot of weight. So I do think that bringing out these cheek pieces, and we do know from experience horses that have cheek pieces or headgear on for the first time, they do bring out that improvement.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see him win tomorrow if the cheek pieces have the desired effect. Hopefully that in the distance combined will bring out further improvement for him to go and win this sort of race. I do think this race is pretty easy to win. There isn't that standout horse in this race. I mean, you look at some of them and their form number, their form's just not particularly that appealing. So I do think that I like the top 2 in the market, Done are the ones that I like. Obviously, there's a massive weight difference. But if I had to choose one, I would probably go for This Is Bob, just based on the prices. I just think 7-4 for a horse that hasn't won a race and has sort of, well, not necessarily been the bridesmaid because it hasn't been second yet, but 3 3s beside its name. It's a bit like, well, he's knocking on the door.
Yeah.
When's that win from? So no, I'm going to go for Susan Corbett's runner. This Is Bob. I just hope that the cheek pieces that have been reached out have the desired effect for him, which, looking back at some runners in the past, they have had that effect. So that's the one that I'm going to go for.
I think I remember This Is Bob. I'm looking through this, and I remember I left Cheltenham early that day because I was going down to the pub to watch a football match. It was a Thursday, I think it was, and I remember he was gubbed. I watched it on my phone as we were going down the hill towards Cheltenham Town Centre. First and last time I'll be leaving the racecourse early after I've paid all that money, by the way, but that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, if I remember it right, he was utterly gubbed when he came up that hill. Hexham soft ground, it can really, really tire you out. It is a real slog. It's not a slog to get around Musselburgh, but soft 2.5. Oh no, not sold. Looking forward to seeing how he travels. Looking forward to. I mean, I think there's been a wee bit of money for him already, and I like Susan Corbett, so I'd like to see him go well. I would probably, and again, this is off the cuff here, just because I haven't had a proper look at this race. I don't think I'd be rolling in at 7-4 with Donald McCain as much as him and Brian are on form just now. I thought Hatton's Garden was a half decent price. You're taking a chance on the fact that the horse only pulled up last time because he was coming back from a break. But again, if you take the 2.5 for him around Hexham last April, then should be decent off this mark. Should give a good account of himself if he takes to Musselburgh well. And yeah, very, 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 very tentative. I mean, there was one further down I quite liked. It was the Adam Nicol horse. As you were talking away there, I think it's Agaluf. I'll need to
Yeah.
have a closer look at this. But yeah, I'm prepared for this, leaning towards Hatton. But yeah, I get your point. I do think the headgear in this as well might make a difference. But I'm willing to watch it and see what happens, considering even though I was half cutting the bus on the way leaving Cheltenham, he did look gubbed when he left that day. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll be watching this race with great intent. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be watching the next race with great intent, because there's 4 words in this race that just scares the life out of me, and it's Mayor's National Hunt Flat. Wow. I mean, not only do we not have a lot to work with here, these races are notoriously wide open, and we've got a Lucinda horse at the top of the market at 2.5. So 64 for me, reflection of you, not too sure. But before I give my waffle, you've always got some great insights into these races, Rachel. So apologies for teeing you up, pal, but I'll let you bash on.
I wouldn't say I've got that much great insight in this Mayor's National Hunt Flat Race. I'm not that glued up on mares at the moment in flat race. But anyway, we'll give it a go. I'm actually taking the favourite on with the horse that actually beat it in its point-to-point Duel of Windsor. Emmett Mullins, another Mullins radar from Ireland. Obviously, I tipped his horse up in the first race, and I'm going to tip his horse up in the last race. Duel of Windsor, she's been in the frame in 2 out of her 3 point-to-points that she's raced in. When you look at her pedigree, there is winners in her family. I mean, like half siblings have won over like longer distances, which would play to her strengths coming into this race when the ground's soft, heavy, possibly tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I do like her quite a lot. Obviously, reflection of you that the favourite did finish in front of her and did beat her by 9 3/4 lengths. But I just think, Don, like if you look at this race, in a flat race, I like to take a horse on that and choose a horse that's got more numbers beside its name, because they've got the more experience. I mean, reflection of you, I mean, I think she changed hands for 140,000 at the sales after her point-to-point, and rightly so, because I mean, it was impressive. But I mean, you look at this race, and the top 3 in the market have all run with credit, but I just think Duel of Windsor 2-1. I just think that's that. I mean, in my opinion, that's a decent bet. Hopefully, she doesn't. If she drifts, I'll probably still back her because it's Emmett Mullins, and he's got a dab hand at improving horses that come at his stables. And we look at the horses that he's had in recent years, like Noble Yates, that went and won the national. That's hoping to win the national next week. Corbett Cross at Cheltenham, amazing. Yeah. That won it. Leopardstown at the DRF. Obviously, that was injured. We never saw him at Cheltenham, but if he comes back next year, and then like Farinelli that won it Punchestown last year and beat like Appreciate It and all those good 3 mile chasers. So I mean, Emmett Mullins, when he gets a horse in his care, he's got a dab hand at improving these sort of horses, and I just think that the experience that she has under her belt. I mean, 4th, 5th, 2nd. Fair enough, the favourite did give her a hammer in her point-to-point and beat her and finish in front of her by 9 3/4 lengths. Yeah. I'm not looking too much into that. I just think this mare could be anything, but the favourite could be anything as well. But I always find it's quite tricky for mares, in particular, flat racing on soft, heavy ground. It is hard work for them, especially with these runners in the field, like for Ian Jardine, Ewan Willens, Philip Kirby, they've never ran before. You don't know how they're going to take to it. So I would rather in a race like this have a horse that's got experience.
Yeah. This is the race. I'm not going to Musselburgh tomorrow, and I've not planned to go to Kelso on Saturday. This is the race that I am, as the 7:10 race is finishing, I'm at the parade ring, and I'm having a good watch at what's going around that parade ring. And I'm having an eye on the market and seeing what's going on, because the market will be very telling the half hour before the off, or the last 20 minutes before the off. I would like to see them, as I'm not going. I will probably not be having a bet, but these are the sort of races I like to look for, something that has turned up fit and ready, And if I see something that's turned up fit and ready, that's unraced at 12s or 25s or whatever it might be, I have no issues throwing away 250 each way, right? Just chucking a wee bit of pounds in there. But I'm just not entirely sold that the top two in the market are not there because it's Lucinda and Emmett Mullins, right? And the fact that Lucinda's has won the point to point. There's a couple in here that are unraced that I would like to see in the flesh. So really looking forward to watching from an education piece, and as much as I was a wee bit glib about it earlier on. But we've got some horses running off some lightweights in here, so you never know who's going to throw up. You never know. I think from my perspective right now, I don't have a take on it. But I wouldn't be really pissing on your selection because I think you've made a lot of great points there. And I think for him to come over, see if the money comes for Emmett Mullins' horse tomorrow morning, you'll see what's going to happen. You will. You'll see what's going to happen. And this is definitely the most experienced horse in this field. So, yeah, interesting race. Definitely not a race I'm going to be throwing a nap into the pot, though. I'll tell you that right now, and I get a feeling you'll be exactly the same.
Yeah, no, I think this is, like you say, I feel like you need to be there in person to see these fillies and mares.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only way you can really gauge if a horse is fit and ready to run. But I've got no worries about Emmett Mullins' horse. I think she'll be raring to run, really. So yeah, but no, I haven't got a nap in this particular race. That's for sure, Don.
Certainly not, pal. Certainly not. Wide open.
A nap for the I think, is it the third race, the juvenile?
Oh yes.
I'm napping up Ursa Major. We're ruler of the one. See when I'm watching the betting tomorrow and I see Ruler of the River like go down and down in the bet, and I'm gonna be like, oh God, I hope this runs well.
So let's just be clear to anyone that's listening. We've got Rachel giving you an 18-1 nap. I mean, who says you get favourites in this place? Unbelievable. You're going to get one off me in a minute, which doesn't help me at all. But 18-1, Rich, I tell you right now, I'll be jumping up and down because I'm probably going to join you with a couple of quid on that as well. So let's hope it's a great day for Ursa Major tomorrow. And you never know. See if that double lands. Superb. Absolutely superb.
Absolutely. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I do think that Ursa Major will have quite a good day. I mean, I think they've got 5 going tomorrow. There's a few that are in the same race.
Yeah.
Thankful. I mean, he's been a bridesmaid on so many occasions at Musselburgh, just being like nabbed on the line. He's coming back from a break. He should hopefully run well. I think they've got a few runners at Kelso on Saturday if Kelso does go ahead. And then I think they've got a few at Carlisle. I'm not 100% sure on Carlisle, but hopefully it's an amazing weekend for them. Because I mean, Craig, he puts so much into his syndicate, and there's no better feeling than seeing someone who puts so much into the game and gets so much out of it, having a nice winner. I mean, he had a good winner on ITV Racing when Glory and Honour won. So I hope Craig and all the members in the syndicate for the horses that are running tomorrow run well and run with credit. And more importantly, I hope all the horses that run tomorrow come back safe and sound and return back to their grooms and their owners and trainers. Because I think it can be quite a sad game at times. So hopefully just a nice day tomorrow. A few winners, and hopefully the 18-1 nap comes in.
I'm going to nap up Curlyfinger in the 6:10. I think there's a few tricky races tomorrow. I just think Curlyfinger might be a little bit of value at a price. And if you ask me for the next best, I'd be going Coup de Coeur. Now Coup de Coeur in the 6:40. Now before we disappear, Rich, do you want to briefly, and I'm putting you in the spot here because I said at the start I wasn't going to do it, but we're going to wait and see how the weather is. Is there anything you want to chuck into the mix the last 5 minutes here for Kelso on Saturday in the hope that it does get ahead?
Kelso on Saturday, I am going to put in here Don Brucio in the Heron Queen Series final mares novices handicap hurdle. I mean, she was well backed at Kelso and Moorborough Hurdle Day in the Premier. And she was brought down. She didn't fall. She was brought down.
Brought down quite early as well.
Yeah, I think it was the first event she was brought down.
First or second, I remember it being early.
And I just think you look back at that form at Leopardstown at the DRF. I don't think. I didn't think. I'm just looking at that race now. Mousy Brown was in that race.
I haven't saw that yet.
So, Brusio for Stuart Crawford in 3:35 at Kelso on Saturday if it goes ahead. That race is worth 51,000, so it's like a really good. Theatre Glory actually won it. It wasn't last. No, it might have been last year.
Last year?
Was it last year? Yeah, was it last year or the year before? No, it couldn't have been last year because last year she ran Cheltenham behind Honeysuckle.
It wasn't Theatre Glory last year.
Was it last year Theatre Glory won that race?
I didn't think it was.
Or was it the year before?
22, year before.
So Theatre Glory's won this race, and obviously she's just recently retired. So it's a nice race to win. And 51,000, amazing for Kelso to put up that sort of prize money on a Saturday. So hopefully it does go ahead. And like I said before, in regards to the mares race, the Lady Button Series final at Musselburgh, it's amazing for these mares to get the chance to get a good win on their CV. Obviously, when the entries came out, Dicer Enos and Golden Ace, the mare's novices hurdle winner Golden Ace was entered, but I think Jeremy Scott's leaning towards Aintree with her, because if she ran here, she'd have to carry a penalty because she'd won a graded race at Cheltenham. So Brusio 7-2, she's the worthy favourite. I can't see anything else troubling her. Obviously Lily de Burley is in that race, and I'm sure I tipped her up at the Musselburgh Cheltenham Trials Day. She was one of my fancies in that race. One thing that I've just noticed though is JJ Slevins on Lily de Burley instead of Brusio, so that's a wee bit of a why is that? But I just think Brusio, I think if she wasn't brought down at Kelso last time out, she would have ran a really good race and gave Personal Ambition something to really get down and fight for. She is carrying top weight, but Ben Bromley takes off £5, and I just think that she should be winning a race of this sort of caliber, really, based on the form that she's shown.
That was the race that I put you had Brusio, I thought was the threat. You thought Personal Ambition was a threat, so you got that nailed. I think if Brusio never fell, you've got 4 talking horses, and they would have finished. They would have filled the top 4. It's unfortunate that Brusio brought down. Sorry, you're quite right. So, looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that on Saturday. The one I'm looking forward to is Good Fortune in the first. Sorry, Major Fortune in the first for the Skeletons. I don't think it's going to be much of a price, so I think it's going to be about 2-1, maybe 5. Looking forward to seeing Major Fortune in the first. And there was another later on in the day in one of the handicap chases. I can't remember. It'll come back to me later on. And what I'll do is we'll post it up tomorrow night.
I'm just looking. Was it Kraken Destiny in the 2-mile handicap chase?
No, it wasn't Kraken Destiny. Nah, it's not there. I've just looked at the race there. That was... Nah, maybe it wasn't the race. Maybe it was a hurdle. That's fine. I'll have a wee nosy at it later on. I thought that Gold Cup Bailey in the 4:10 was far too short when that marker opened up. And there's been one of them that's been rifled in. I thought Primo's had a big shout in that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what turns up on Saturday. All going to be weather dependent. Oh, Christ. Wow. I can apologise to people that are listening because I've just saw that we have had more chats tonight than we've ever had. And I haven't even looked at them. So I can only apologise, guys. I'm just going to rifle through some of these. Right, okay. No, that's great. Look, honestly, thank you very much, guys, for that. My apologies. I've been too busy talking to Rachel. We've not seen each other in a month, so we're just gassing away about a push. So glad to see that. We've got a nice attendance tonight as well. It's great to see everybody back, and it's great, Rachel, to get back into the swing of things again, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I've missed her in our analysis on the podcast on. So no, I don't know if you're thinking about maybe doing entry, giving some selections for entry.
Oh yes, definitely.
If you fancy doing a podcast or even just selections next week, that would be great. I'm actually off the Thursday, Friday, so I'll sit in the house, watch the racing. So now I'm looking forward to that. I've got a strong fancy in the Grand National, but I'll save that for the podcast next week if we do one. So no, we'll just see what happens, but we'll get tomorrow out the way first. Hopeful for some big winners. Hopeful my double comes in and my 18-1 nap comes in. That would be fantastic to kickstart the weekend. Hopefully Kelso goes ahead, but like I say, if we get the forecasted rain this evening and into the morning, I can't see it being on. And then don't forget that series final, which is all to do with the Chasers, is on Sunday at Carlisle. I might put a few selections up for Carlisle on Sunday. It's a track that I like to have a couple of bets at.
Yeah,
and then
me
obviously entry next week, which will be exciting. Looking forward to it. Hopefully it's not a heavy Grand National and we can get some nice winners in.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for it. It's a great weekend. I always look forward to it. I think the racing on Friday is good. I really look forward to Friday Ladies' Day racing. So what I will say is I share the same streaming platform with the USO boys. So if they're having one next Thursday, I might just leave it. But if not, it doesn't mean me and you can't get together on a Friday night and even have a wee gas about Saturday's racing. So let's take next week as it comes. But as it stands for this weekend, fingers crossed we get a nice wee day's racing tomorrow, and fingers crossed we get a nice day's racing on Saturday, Rachel. And thank you very much. It's been a pleasure again.
Absolutely, Don. We'll just see what happens. Hopefully Kelso does go ahead, and if so, we can put our selections up and hope for that. It's great racing at Kelso. If no one's ever been before, they should really come. It's you get such a lovely welcome at Kelso.
One of my favourites.
It's lovely. So hopeful for a good weekend, and I'm sure we will see you next week sometime.
It's the last meeting.
Kelso,
there's one more.
No, there's three more. You've got one in.
3 more.
You've got the meeting on the Monday after the National, which is the 15th of April. And then you've got, I think it's a Wednesday. I think it's the second Wednesday in May. I've got a feeling it's like the 11th or 12th of May. And then there is Ladies' Day on the
Ladies' Day. I've just checked. I've still got Ladies' Day in May. What an absolute fuck up that is. Yeah, I've lost. See, when Cheltenham happens, I've lost all concept of time. What a balloon. No, you're right. We've still got a good few race days. So if you're in about in the Scottish borders, get yourself along. I think it's a cracking place. One of my favourite.
It's great. It's so friendly and welcoming, and everyone has a great time.
What a tit I am. I forgot about that. Even the Buccleuch Cup's still to come. What a fan. Anyway, on that note, everybody, thank you very much for the comments tonight. I appreciate that. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Perfect. Have a lovely evening.
You too, Rachel. Have a good weekend, pal. Take care. Thanks, guys.